Hello, I'm Nick Crawley. Welcome to the Bible for Life Ministry. And in this video, I'm introducing the book of Numbers. It's the fourth book of the Bible. It's part of the Pentateuch. And it is a fascinating book, but it's also a very difficult book. There are 36 chapters in it. And it essentially describes the journey of the Israelites from Mount Sinai to the border of the Promised Land. It describes the failure of the old generation of Israelites, the old generation which came out of Egypt, went through the Red Sea, and encountered God at Mount Sinai, where the covenant was cut and the law was given. It describes their failure to enter the into the promised land. Numbers is an extraordinary book. It's full of all types of different literature. There are censuses, there are descriptions of God's intervention, there are long lists of religious procedures, of offerings, of events that went on. It describes rebellions against Moses, against all types of different things going on, and as I've said, it involves culminating in the failure of the old generation to enter into what God has for them. But the last 11 chapters describe the new generation coming up there, and they're ready to enter in. And the last 11 chapters, chapters 26 to 36, have a completely different tone about them. There's a note of hope, and as I say, it's very very different sort of tone. If we go back to the beginning for a moment, the whole book starts with a census. As the people prepare to go and march into the Promised Land, they need to cross the desert and get there. And God organizes them in terms of concentric circles. In the center, you've got the tabernacle, and then you've got Moses and the priests and the Levites, and then working out from all the way from outside, you've got the 12 tribes, and then you've got the unclean, and then the desert, and then beyond that, the pagan nations. And the holiness of God is kept within the center and in the sanctuary, and it's the concentric circles are there to protect the people from God's purity and the outworking of His very presence in the middle. And it's an extraordinary thing. It's not just a system of danger. There's lovely systems of blessing. So in chapter 6, you have this extraordinary gift of the Nazirite vow, whereby a common Israelite, a man or woman, can achieve a level of holiness equivalent to the high priest themselves. And that chapter ends with this lovely Aaronic blessing, whereby God gives His blessing to the people and to the nations. Remember that the promise to Abraham, which drives the entire book, your people are going to be my people, your family are going to be my people, and your people are going to inherit this land, the promised land, and through you all the nations of the earth will be blessed. And that's what's driving the book of Numbers. Very sadly, what we see in the first 25 chapters is these people fail to get hold of what God does and promises. And so you see failure, you see unbelief, you see disobedience. The spies see the land and then give up and say, we can't get in there. And it's terrible. There's unbelief, except for Caleb and Joshua, and they do go in. And ultimately, even the Levites get caught up in this rebellion, and Miriam and Aaron, Moses' sister and brother, they also challenge, and there's disorder and chaos breaks out, and finally even Moses himself sins against God and is barred from entering into the promised land. The extraordinary thing is that God speaks through a pagan prophet to affirm the promises made to Abraham. But the new generation is different, and there's not one single death is mentioned in the last 11 chapters. Here are people who are ready to go in, and they go to everything is prepared, and the last 11 chapters are about land, about inheritance. The whole tone is how do we manage what God has given, and it's fascinating. The instructions about the worship have to do with the way that the people practice their worship in terms of time, and in terms of the ordering of worship in terms of a settled community. And this speaks of faith. It speaks of we're going to go in and we're going to inherit what God has given. And that, of course, is the application for Christians. We have here a book which speaks of how do we go in and possess what God has given to us. That is the thing, the question to keep in mind. That's where this is going. And of course, Paul picks up on this, not surprisingly, in the letter of 1 Corinthians, where there's a church which has lost its way. It's going back into the world. And Paul uses these examples in Numbers to say, no, you mustn't do these things. You must, we are on the destiny is the kingdom of God, and we've got to go in and we've got to possess, and this is how you do it. And so that if we keep that in mind, you will find that this is a very, very richly rewarding book. I remember some years ago doing a series of Bible studies on this at a conference, and it was a high point. It was a lovely thing to be able to participate in. I think you'll find this richly rewarding, but it does require work. And I think you'll find the questions we've done with the hyperlinks we're building in those, I think you'll find them very helpful. So enjoy it. And if you have the chance, I'd love to do a pod with you if we can. Okay, God bless. Bye-bye.